you who filled our inscription form, the records, the presentation, and the minute of this meeting. And I will start sharing my screen with the presentation that we prepare to share with all of you today. Well, today what we want to talk about with you, and we appreciate the time that you're taking from your daily obligations to talk about this topic, to learn a bit more about the methodology, and to learn a bit more about how is this data collection process, and also the custodianship that the agencies, the United agencies has regarding the SDGs indicators. And today we are going to talk a bit about that, because perhaps for many of you it's a process that you know how it works, but for others it's new, and as repetition is a matter of knowledge, we want to share with you that those key processes that if all of us understand how they work, that will make much more easier the job from our side and the job from your side. And that's why we are making these working groups to make things easier for you and for us. Well, first of all, we are going to talk about a process called focal point identification and data collection process. That is a key process regarding SDGs. And well, today we are going to share with you information regarding with that. Then there is a website developed for this indicator with the main information that you need to understand a bit more what we consider when we talk about sustainable procurement policies, and all the available information regarding this topic is there. Also, the methodology, the template that is used for data collection, all what is needed to be known is available there in that website. And we want to share that with you, so you could not only have a look on that, but also could share that website to other colleagues that perhaps are dealing with SPP in your country, as you are doing. Then we are going to talk about the methodology developed for countries to construct this indicator. And the next step, as always, because as you know, this is a monthly meeting that we have with all of you. We have two working groups regarding this indicator. One working group for the Latin American and Caribbean countries that speak in Spanish, and another group for all of you, the Caribbean countries that speak in English. As always, we really appreciate each time you make a question, you share with us your thoughts, you share with us your experience. So please use the chat for that, for writing any doubts, any questions, or suggestions, or whatever. Use the chat for that. And also you can raise your hand and ask your question. We really appreciate also if you write it in the chat, or if you ask the question when you raise your hand, to introduce yourself, to tell us from which country you are, and from which organization you are. So that's a good way of starting knowing each other. Well, the focal point identification process, it has a starting point, that is that the SDGs has a custodianship related to a United Nations agency. Each SDG indicator has a United agency. In certain cases, only one United agency. In others cases, more than one, that has the custodianship of the indicator. In the case of SDG 1271, the United Nations agency who has the custodianship of this indicator is UNEP, is the environmental program, okay? And we are the only one with the custodianship of this indicator. I believe there is someone that has opened the micro, and I will appreciate if all of the micros are turned off. Thanks. And well, because we know that sometimes certain people get confused because they don't know to whom they should write if they have any doubts regarding the indicator, regarding perhaps part of the process, regarding whatever is linked with the indicator. So in the case of this SDG, is UNEP the only agency that has the custodianship. What this means when we said that this agency has the custodianship? That means that the agency is in charge of the development of the methodology with a working group, of experts that are worldwide, who have developed the methodology and who had finally agreed the best methodology for the construction of the indicator that was selected, in this case, for the monitoring of SPP. Also, this working group and it's written in the methodology establish which will be the frequency in which the indicator should be reported. There is a focal point that belongs to UNEP in this case, or to the United Nations agency that is in charge of the indicator, that requires countries to identify an official focal point. What we ask is to identify a main focal point, a principal focal point, and an alternate for data reporting. Also, the agency, UNEP, is in charge of making trainings, or is in charge of developing material for trainings. But this could be shared also with other agencies. Not only UNEP has the responsibility of making these trainings. Also, it could happen that perhaps many of you had received trainings regarding SPP from OAS or from ECLAC, from other organizations, okay? But well, it's good when the agency that has the custodianship of the indicator makes also this sort of trainings or initiatives that that allows countries to meet the people that are behind the methodology. So what the first step that is done is to select the country focal point, is to realize which person will be the country focal point. And for that purpose, UNEP contacts the National Statistic Office of each country. Okay, that's the starting point for the selection of the focal point. In this case, as Agnes mentions, she is the one who and she will explain to all of you what she has already developed a couple of weeks ago. UNEP is who contacts via email the National Statistic Office, sometimes copy other people from the country, people that we met before, people that were in contact before in a previous data collection period, and ask the National Statistic Office to select a country focal point for this data collection process, okay? What we wish, what we aim, is that the focal point is an expert on the topic in the country, because that really helps us with the discussion in case we have any doubts, in case that person has certain doubts. it makes easier the discussion between parts when it's time for countries to submit their information. So we advise and we prefer that the person who will be chosen as country focal point is not someone from perhaps the National Statistic Office that has no knowledge regarding this topic. We prefer if that person could be someone who has the expertise, who has the knowledge, but well, each of you knows in your country which is the situation. If you really have that expert, or if you continue preferring being the person from the National Statistic Office, the focal point for the indicator. But we promote as a good practice to select an expert and as an alternate for being those focal point with whom we will be in touch. And also, well, we promote collaboration across ministries, agencies around the topics that are related with the SPP, because it's good when in your country you have an internal working group that supports also gives support also to the government on this topic in other topics. So in case, because it happens that sometimes certain countries, they send to us more than one name nominated, more than two names nominated as focal point. We ask them to select two people, not more than two, because we believe that will make easier things from your side and from our side. But if internal, you want to have a biggest group with more people dealing with this topic, we promote that, and we appreciate when you have that across ministries or agency internal working groups. And also we could also help on that. It happens that sometimes certain countries ask us to be part of their starting point in their working groups, and we could be there, we could make our presentation, we could explain a bit more about the importance of the indicator, how it construct, the challenge they could be facing. We could also help on that, and in case some country needs help regarding that starting point of an internal working group, you know that you can count on us for that. Well, this is the process. In May and June, the focal points are contacted with instruction. First of all, we ask the National Statistic Office to nominate those focal points, and Agnes was doing that, and will, as I said, she will be informing that for all of you. Then there is a deadline for data submission. As soon as from UNEP it's sent the template to those focal points that were nominated. We start the conversation with those focal points, and probably we will be thinking about specific trainings for those focal points to help them in the construction of the indicator. And the deadline for the data submission will be October 31. There will be a help desk from UNEP to help the nominated focal points for this data collection process. Then during November and December, bilateral exchanges with countries for data clarification will be held. And all the countries that submit their information will know if everything is correct, if there is any missing information that should be given, if there is something that is not clear, we will be asking to give more information about that, or to give some clarifications about that. So, well, there will be a sort of dialogue between November and December. And in February, during January and perhaps part of February, a report will be written And this report will be sent to the participant countries and will be shown to the participant countries. So the information that the countries submit could be shown, could be discussed, and as we mentioned, we will not share specific information for the country. We will see at in the next slide how the final calculation of this indicator is done and how a grade is given according to what it was submitting. And well, that's the graphical information that will be shared. And then in March, next year in March, the data will be submitted for the publication to the United Nations Statistic Division. Well, Agnes, now it's your turn, so go ahead and tell us what you have done during this time and what you have received.
Sure, thank you, Diana. So since our last meeting, we have reached out, well, between May 1st and May 6th, we reached out to 173 countries around the world. In most cases, as Diana mentioned, we reached out specifically to the National Statistic Office, SDG, Sustainable Development Goal focal points. So every country has nominated SDG focal points within their National Statistics Office, and we have a database of all those contacts. So we reached out to all of those contacts. In some cases, we included in copy any particular leads we might have, perhaps other, focal points who were, or 12.7.1 focal points who were involved in data collection in 2020, 2021, or any other leads we might have who could be, for instance, like heads of procurement in a particular country and so forth. So we reached out to 173 countries. So far, we've received confirmation of their SDG indicator 12.7.1 focal points and alternates from 40 countries. So 40 countries out of 173 have confirmed in the last, let's say, I don't know, it's been 4 or 5 days since those emails have been sent out. On the screen, what you see here, these are all the countries that have been contacted in the Caribbean. I believe there were 17 altogether that were contacted. In some of these countries, we actually did not have National Statistic Office SDG focal points. So in those cases, we contacted whatever other leads we might have. In many cases, they were the heads of procurement, Ministry of Finance, and so forth. The countries that you can see in blue are the countries that have thus far responded to our request for focal point and alternate nomination. However, even in those cases, they haven't yet defined their specific focal points and alternates. In those cases, generally, they have referred us back to, contact this person at this ministry and so forth. The deadline for submitting information or nomination for the SDG 12.7.1 focal point and alternate, the deadline that we set for all the countries was May 20th. So it would be, I think, really helpful if any of you could perhaps support us in the effort in identifying these focal points, because as I mentioned, we've received responses from 4 countries in the Caribbean out of 17. We really would like to see some great participation from the Caribbean region in the second data collection exercise. I think we mentioned during our last working group session last month that we only had participation in the previous data collection exercise from 1 Caribbean country, which was the Dominican Republic. But we know that there are several countries in the Caribbean that have taken steps toward, implementing sustainable public procurement. You may have included SPP provisions in your public procurement legislation and regulations. So it would be really important to report on those advances. I don't know what else. Is there anything else to add, Diana? We've set the May 20th deadline. the following week, the week after May 20th, I'll be reaching out again to all the countries that we haven't heard from, asking and reminding them to nominate their SPP focal points and alternates.
No, perhaps we can open the floor for those who wants to ask something regarding this part of the process, because it's quite important. If you understood what we said, if you have any doubts regarding this part, please ask now, because we know from previous experience that it's not well understood, that we need the support of those who we already know to sometimes guide us inside your countries, because perhaps we are not reaching the right people, or that person has changed. And Agnes, you mentioned 17 and they are 16, because I removed from their Dominican Republic, because they are in our Spanish speaking group, and I saw that today none of the people that made the inscription are from Dominican Republic. That's why it's not there. But well, I will appreciate if any of you has any doubts, please ask us. And well, as Agnes mentioned, up to 10, there are 10 more days that we leave time for the countries to submit their the two names of the nominated people for being the focal point regarding this data collection process. So, Darlene, thanks.
Right. And if you're interested in supporting our efforts, I think the best way forward would be to email me and Daiana, and we could provide you with the information as to whom we contacted in your country. So it would be great if you could, follow up on that communication and see if we can, expedite the process a little bit and identify the focal point and alternate, so we can get the ball rolling. Daiana, I did notice in the chat that we've lost your screen sharing. We don't see your presentation.
No. I stopped screen sharing because I wanted to see if someone wants to talk to see because I can't see nobody when I'm sharing my screen.
Oh,
so
yeah, no.
Darlene, you have your hand raised, and please introduce yourself.
Yes, good morning, Darlene Taylor from Belize. Just in the same line from Ms. Agnes, what she was saying. I know we got an email, the request, and I see we had a response from our ministry, but I'm not sure if officially has been sent to you guys. So maybe if we can follow up. If not, if no name has been submitted, then we would follow up here.
Sure. Darlene, I can confirm that I haven't received yet a confirmation, like an official confirmation from Belize. I believe my communication was forwarded to another ministry in your government, and I'm still waiting for the official confirmation.
Okay, noted. I would follow up and try to get back to you with the names. Thank you.
No, thank you, Darlene.
Thank you so much, Darlene. Also, perhaps, Darlene, in the private chat, you could just send me your contact details.
She filled our form, so we have her contact. We have her contact. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I know Darlene from other activities, so no, don't worry. We have the contact of Darlene. Yeah. No, don't worry, Darlene.
Thanks for your support, Darlene.
Someone else? Well, so I can go ahead with the.
My name is Kemuel Jean-Baptiste from St. Lucia. I noted in your presentation that that St. Lucia did submit a focal point. I was looking through the list of names. I'm not too sure if that focal point is on the call. Do you have an indication of who the focal point might be for St. Lucia? I actually work with the Department of Agriculture, so I'm just here sitting in and familiarizing myself with this particular process. So, Do you have a nominee for St. Lucia, and who would that person be?
No, we
Because
do
I'm not
not.
sure who that.
Right, we do not have a nominee yet. Actually, I contacted Myrtle Drizzle Octave from the OECS Commission for St. Lucia. And in copy, I can, well, if you just give me a moment, I can check the spreadsheet and see who was the NSO SDG focal point. Perhaps it was Javier Uranda in copy. But I'm still, it's just pending at this point. I haven't received an official nomination quite yet.
Okay, so the correspondence was sent to the OECS for response, yes?
Right, it was the head of procurement, Myrtle Drizzle Octave, who was one of our contacts, one of our leads, and she, right, and then she provided me with the information of who I should contact for the nomination. But I believe Javier Uranda was in copy, and he was, I believe, the NSO SDG focal point.
Okay. I'll follow up locally with them and see what happened.
Yeah, I can quickly check and just double check for you if you just give me a moment.
Can I jump in? Hi, this is Marlon Martin. I'm from the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency here in Barbados. Just going through on the previous presentation that took place, can you just confirm the SDG Agenda 12.7 is related to the government level procurement? Because my agency does not fall into the government. We are an arm of CARICOM that deals with disaster and response. My head of agency actually forwarded the email to me to join the meeting. So I'm just trying to establish where I fit into it, the SDG goal. If you can tell me where I fit and how I fit, I may be better able to contribute, but I do not contribute on the government level. Instead, I do support the CARICOM countries, the USAID project here in Barbados, as well as the Norway and the GAC project, well, Global Affairs Canada. I'd love to get that feedback just to know where I fit, because I realize everything for the SDG is at the government level and not necessarily at an NGO level at which I'm currently working. Thanks much.
That's true, Marlon. It's for government level and for national government level, not federal, not sub-levels. It's for national government level. And although we promote discussion, internal discussion regarding SPP in the countries, that's why we are open for all of those who wants to learn about SPP and who perhaps somehow you are related with one of the parts of the, you have some connection with the government, although you belong to a national, to a NGO, you could have some connection with the government. Yes, this indicator is for government, and well, yes, what you ask is true. Is correct. Agnes, did you find?
Sure, yeah, I just wanted to go back. I went into my emails and I see now that Myrtle Drizzle Octave, she forwarded the communication to Anthony Jean, who's the acting director of public procurement in St. Lucia. So he would be the one perhaps nominating the focal point and alternate in St. Lucia.
Okay. Thanks, Agnes.
Hi, good morning. My name is Pastora Brown. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, the Office of Procurement Regulation. Would you be able to share with me, please, to whom would you have sent your correspondence?
Sure, Pastora, just give me one moment. I will check. Let's see. So the correspondence was addressed to the contracting director, Ministry of Finance, Munilal Lalchan, with the NSO SDG contact points in copy. And as well as some of the participants of the working group, Aditi, Deborah, those two individuals.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. I could also, in a separate email, I can forward you that that communication so you have it, and you can follow up on
Okay.
the nomination of the focal point.
So that correspondence would have come to my office. Mr. Munilal Lalshan is the procurement regulator in Trinidad and Tobago, so I can follow up with him.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for checking in, Pastora.
Welcome.
I think you're on mute, Daiana.
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
We have another hand from Tara Francis. Tara, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Tara Francis, and I am from Grenada. I actually sit in the Ministry of Finance, and our procurement unit is within that ministry as well. However, I support a different project from procurement, so I would also like to know who the correspondence was made to, so we can also identify a focal point, because I'm not too sure who that is, so I can do that follow-up for you as well.
Sure, thank you so much, Tara. So who was contacted on May 1st was Terrence Victor. I believe he's the head of procurement in Grenada. And the NSO SDG focal point and copy was Paul Canita. And
okay, so Mr. Victor and Paul Canita. Okay, I will do a follow-up. I believe Mr. Terrence Victor, as you said?
Yes.
I think he is on holiday, so maybe that's why the correspondence is on pause. But I will follow up with the procurement office and try to get them in also on this training, because I think that's the correct arm to have here as well.
Right,
so
right.
I'll do that follow-up for you.
Yeah, I'm quite sure that probably Terrence Victor was invited to the working group, because I think he was among our list of contacts. But I think it would be great, yeah, if you reached out to his team and try to include them in these working group sessions. And also, as I mentioned to Pastor, Darlene, and the other participants, whoever inquires, we're more than happy to forward the communication, so you can follow up on that communication, and perhaps we can expedite the process for the focal point and an alternate nomination.
Thanks, Tara. Prudence, you have your hand raised.
Yes, good morning. My name is Prudence Holcher, and I am from the Caribbean Development Bank, Barbados. Agnes Douglas Fraser says to tell you hello.
Oh, I'd say hi back.
I shall. I'd appreciate it if you can forward to us the contact person that you would have sent your transmission to, so that we can follow up on that as well for Barbados.
For Barbados.
Yes, please.
Yes, of course, I can do that. No worries. I think it was probably Janice Worrell. I don't know if she's still the procurement officer in the list with the NSO SDG focal point and copy.
Yeah, I think that has changed. So that's probably why.
Okay.
So yeah, if you just send it to me, Douglas and I will try to follow up for you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your support, Prudence.
You're welcome.
Agnes, someone wrote in the chat if from Dominica, Miss Joseph, if you have any response from her.
No, I have not. I have not received a response. I know that, yeah, Oscar Seaman, he put me in touch with, he put me in touch with her, but I'm still waiting for a response. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we will appreciate if the person who wrote there in the chat that she could reach her.
Mandy.
Okay, thanks.
Mandy, thanks. I can forward you that communication, so if you can follow up on that, that would be really wonderful.
Right. Well, let me see. You know that you were a copy. Prudence, you have still your hand raised, but I wonder.
Apologies, that's a legacy hand. Sincere apologies.
Okay. Okay, don't worry. Don't worry.
Maybe we can just mention, Daiana, for those perhaps who don't want to speak, if you just want to send a chat, if you wanted me to forward the communication. So, if you wanted to help us you know, identify the focal points and alternates, more than happy to send you the trail of communication so you can follow up on that. So just send it in the chat or private chat, and, you know, we'll send out those communications to you.
Mhm. Okay. No, and all of you has our email, so you could also write to us, and we could send that information for those ones who wants to know a bit more to whom it was sent the solicitation. Well, now, yes, I'm going to continue sharing my screen, so you should start seeing my screen again. And what we are going to talk about is, Agnes, it's your turn with the website. I thought about starting with the methodology, but first, please share with us. So perhaps I could go here and open this website that was developed for this indicator, Agnes.
Sure.
I don't know if you want, perhaps you want to share your screen so you can go through the main
Sure.
topics of the, yeah? Okay, I will
let me
start.
I'll share my screen, so give me a minute. Okay, and I know we're a little bit tight on time, so I'm going to run through this quite quickly. I just wanted everyone to get acquainted with this website. It's really just a great resource for all sorts of information related to indicator 12.7.1, which is the indicator that we're going to start the data drive in June of this year, and it's going to run through October. Perhaps, Daiana, you can just confirm that everyone can see my screen.
I can, so I believe that everyone can.
Okay, great. Okay, so it's just one web page. I've already shared in the chat the link to this website, and I believe we also shared it after the last working group session, and probably after this working group session, we'll also share it as a follow-up in the follow-up email. So it's a really wonderful resource for all sorts of information related to 12.7.1. There are certain links here to more general documents like the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. There's a link to the official UN website for the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, the various targets, the 169 targets under the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. But then if you scroll down toward the bottom of the page, you will see that there are some links here that relate to indicator 12.7.1. The first link is a link to the methodology. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about the history of the development of SDG indicator 12.7.1 methodology, you can find it in that document. You can also find information on the 6 parameters that the indicator measures, as well as the score calculation of the indicator. So all of that is available. If I click on it, this is the document. You can download it. It's available in English. This is the document. It's not that long. It's about 20, 30 pages. And as I mentioned, there's a quick overview of the history of the methodology, and then it goes a little bit further into the measurement and the score calculation. So that's a great document to take a look at. The other information that I think is very important for everyone to take a look at is the 2020 Excel Questionnaire is available here on the website. This is the questionnaire with slight modifications that will be shared with all participating governments in June for the 2022 data drive. So if you click on that, you will see again, it's available in English. It's also, I believe, available in Spanish and French. But this is the actual Excel spreadsheet, and a very similar type of spreadsheet, almost identical to this one, will be shared with all participating national governments in June. So you can start sort of playing around with this. It's very simple. Basically, all the areas that are marked in yellow are the areas that need to be completed. There's a scroll down menu. You just click yes or no, or you just pick from whatever options you have here. And then to the right, you would just indicate the supporting document that would support that answer that you have in yellow. And if we have time, I think Daiana is going to take us through this calculator a little bit. Well, looks like we might not have enough time, Daiana, to take a look at it today, but perhaps in the next working session, we'll go a little bit further into detail into the Excel questionnaire. There's also a guidance document. These are basically the instructions that go along with the Excel questionnaire, and it goes parameter by parameter, and they're like screenshots of the Excel questionnaire. So you can go through the instructions document as you're filling out the Excel questionnaire with your country's information. We also have a report, which was just published in January of this year. The report is on the last data collection exercise, which occurred in 2020. And this report is available in English, I guess French and Spanish. And also there's also a link to a webinar in English and French that presented the findings of the report. So if you don't want to read the report, you can just go straight to the webinar and just listen to the presentation on the report. Just to mention to everyone that we've only gone through one data drive for indicator 12.7.1. The first data drive was in 2020. So this one in 2022 will be the second data drive. And these data collection exercises for indicator 12.7.1 occur every 2 years. So the next one will be in 2024. Lastly, you'll see here, there's a link to a list of focal points. These are the focal points that as of March 2022 have been confirmed. And likely toward the end of the month, we will update that list. So if you click on it right now, you will see, I think there are about maybe 30 countries that are listed here. There's the name of the focal entity and the contact information for the focal point. So if ever you're in doubt in terms of who is the focal point and the alternate in your country, you can just go to this list that's available on the 12.7.1 website. And I think that's pretty much everything. There's also, if you want to email us, you would just click on the contacts here.
Thanks, Agnes. And well, that list of focal points is the one that will be updated thanks to this process that it has started two weeks ago. Well, now I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Yeah, Daiana, we only have about 10 minutes, so
Okay. We will try to do our best during the last 10 minutes. And please stop me if you have any questions, okay? Well, as Agnes mentioned, the methodology of this indicator has 6 parts, okay? And we are going to have a first look at the calculator that was developed for the calculation of this indicator. You will see that the template has questions that should be answered, and evidence should be given according what is answered. And well, we are going to go through the Excel file where the calculator is developed, and we will see all these parts. Today we are going to start, and probably we will continue next meeting with this. According to the given information, a score will be developed, and the most important part is part A, because if we will have a look on that, if no information is given because the country has no policies regarding SPP, for example, then the score will be 0, okay? But as we mentioned in our first meeting, we encourage countries to fill this template because it's a starting point, it's a baseline of their situation. Perhaps today they don't have, but in the near future you will have, and you will see your improvements according to what it has been filled in the template. Okay. Well, and now I'm going to go, and here's what I mentioned also, that according to the given information, a classification will be done, and this is the information that will be shared, okay, with in the report, not specifically information that could be private to the country, but a score in which the countries could be situated according to what they have developed regarding SPP. Okay, so I will open the same. Let me see the same template that Agnes shared with you, that has just show you that it hasn't been updated yet. It has still the last data collection period written there. And as we said, this Excel questionnaire will be shared. The specific one, the one that countries will use for their data submission, will be shared with the national focal point. Those two people that were nominated by the country to be their national focal point. Here it is. Okay, so this is part A, the most important one, and the ones that that determines if the score will be 0 or will be something. Okay, and it's the existence of an SPP action plan, policy, or some regulatory requirements. Certain countries that are very few in the world has an action plan, a clear action plan. For example, Costa Rica has one that starts in 2019 and goes up to 2030. But it's a huge document, a document that has a lot of work inside, because not all the countries are prepared to make a national plan regarding SPP. But well, there are countries that have that. If not, a policy regarding SPP could be enough. If not, a regulatory document that mentions that the country is working with SPP and is making certain actions regarding SPP could be enough. Okay. As we said, this indicator must be reported by the government with the national information. Okay. In the last data collection process, countries could inform subnational information regarding SPP, but by this time will be only one information, and will be national government information, the one that we will be asking in this indicator. And as I said, this is a self-ask questionnaire. In this case, what we ask is, okay, is it there an action plan, a policy, or a regulatory requirement that has been developed and approved by the government? Yes or no? Okay. And if the answer is yes, it must be provide some information to support the answer. And what we ask is that country gives a website where that document is published, for example. Okay, but in certain cases, nowadays, most of the countries have websites and they publish the information in a website. If not, well, an attachment with a document that shows that, yes, we have this national regulatory that mentions SPP. Okay, it's quite important. We know that there are countries that are just starting or developing regulatories regarding SPP. So, well, for those ones, congrats, because you are in the process. For others, okay, you should figure somehow that could be start in your country. Okay. Agnes, do you want to complement this with something, or someone that wants to to ask?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great summary of what would be required for the first parameter, the existence of an SPP action plan or policy. I know that in the Caribbean, there are very few countries that would have like a dedicated SPP policy or action plan. So, but there are many countries in the Caribbean that have public procurement legislation or regulations inclusive of SPP provisions. So that would be perfectly acceptable. In other instances, if your country has any overarching or thematic policies that include SPP provisions, those would also be acceptable. For instance, if you have a national sustainable development strategy and it's inclusive of sustainable public procurement or mentions, public procurement, that could be considered acceptable, or like a circular economy strategy and so forth. In the instructions document that I pointed out when I was on the website, which goes along with this Excel calculator, you will see right there in the instructions document what types of quote unquote policy documents would be considered compliant with the 12.7.1 indicator methodology. And I see that, yeah, exactly, the guidance document. So right now,
at the end, there is an annex.
Right, at the end, there's
the appendix, an appendix with examples, okay? Here
and
are
we
the examples.
actually, yeah, we're working on updating this instructions or guidance document, and we hope to have like specific even examples from the region of what could be considered acceptable, just to make it easier for all those participating national governments. But I think also here in the Excel calculator, you do have like in parentheses, like examples. So you might not even need to consult the guidance document for ideas.
Mm-hmm. And well, perhaps for today we stop and we continue in our next meeting with the rest of the parts of this calculator, because as we mentioned, there are 6. B is the public procurement regulatory framework, and it's like if it's conducive to sustainable public procurement, and there are certain possibilities that could be answered there, and we will have a look on all those possibilities. Then part C is practical support delivered to procurement practitioners on the implementation of SPP. Part D is SPP purchasing criteria, buying standards, requirements. And the social economic governance, risk assessment, and E is existence of an SPP monitoring system, and F, the percentage of sustainable public procurement. So, well, we will go through this questionnaire so all of you could understand a bit more what we are talking about when we discuss the methodology of this indicator, and we will get some time for doing that and to going through this questionnaire. So if and also we previously shared with you this questionnaire, and we will be sharing it again. And well, we will be discussing things regarding this questionnaire in our next session. Okay.
Daiana, maybe I can just mention, I know that for this indicator, it's in terms of how the score is calculated, there's a lot of weight that is given to whether or not a country has an SPP action plan or policy in place or the equivalent. But I also wanted to mention that, there are countries who do not have, those type of regulatory requirements in place, but they are actually practicing to some degree sustainable public procurement. So I wouldn't want anyone to be discouraged as to not participate in this data collection exercise because, oh no, we don't have a dedicated SPP policy, or we don't have public procurement legislation that's inclusive of SPP provisions, because you can still complete the other, and we'll go over those other parameters, and you will have that information after you complete this data collection or data reporting exercise, we will come back to you and we will send you a report on like the status of SPP implementation in your country that you can use as a baseline and you can look back on, you know, in terms of what progress you have made to date using 2022, you know, the information that you used and the information that you submitted during this data collection exercise, you know, to measure progress into the future. So please don't be discouraged if you don't have those policies or the legislation in place. It could be that you're already, you know, and we've noticed this in Caribbean countries, even just, you know, purchasing energy efficient, you know, air conditioning units and so forth. You know, some countries don't realize that they're already practicing in certain ways sustainable public procurement, and all of that can be documented in the Excel questionnaire, and you know, you can use that moving forward into the future.
Thanks, Agnes. I hope that the countries could understand the importance of starting this process and how this could give them some information that perhaps they hasn't gathered yet, they hasn't put all together yet. But well, this could be a good starting point for those countries that hasn't gone through this process before.
And just very quickly, so the deadline for identifying the focal points and alternates is May 20th. And then toward the end of June, we will be sending to all of the identified, you know, nominated focal points and alternates, we'll be sending them the 2022 Excel questionnaire / calculator with the new instructions. And then at the end of June and July, we will have a series of training sessions, you know, and working kind of, well, on this platform as well, working sessions on how, you know, you can complete the Excel calculator in greater detail.
Okay. Well, I wonder whether any of you wants to ask something or wants to share something. We passed the time, but well, sorry for these 3 minutes. Otherwise, we will be in touch. Thanks for your participation for today's meeting. Thanks for being there. Thanks for your commitment. We really appreciate and need that commitment from your side. And you will be receiving the invitation for our next monthly meeting in the following weeks. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I will follow up with everyone who spoke or who reached out to us for the communications, probably by the end of today.
Thanks for your time again, and have a nice day.
Oh, we have someone. No, I thought someone was speaking. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.